You studied for hours, you knew the content, you sat down in the exam and wrote 2 pages. Then the marks came back, and the comment said, needs more explanation, or no judgment given, or both things not compared. You were not wrong about the content. The problem was simpler than that. You answered the wrong question, because you didn't fully read what the command word was asking for. Every geography question has a command word. That command word tells you exactly what kind of answer to write and how much to write. If you know the content but don't know your command words, you will keep losing marks on answers you actually understand. This video fixes that. This is the 18th and final video in the Sec 1 Geography series. Videos 1 to 9 covered map skills and natural resources. 10 to 12 covered water. 13 and 14 covered tropical rainforests. 15 to 17 covered mangroves. This video covers something different, not new geographical content, but how to turn what you already know into marks. This video is for you if you feel vague about what each command word actually wants. If you lose marks on compare questions because you describe A and then describe B separately. If you write evaluate answers but forget the final judgment. If you're not sure what the final exam demands differently from your WA. By the end, you will be able to recognize and respond correctly to all 9 command words. Use PEE structure for every explain answer and write a complete 6-mark evaluate answer from memory. Here is the roadmap. Chapter 1 introduces command words and the command word ladder. Chapter 2 goes through the 6 WA command words one by one. Chapter 3 covers the 3 higher-order command words that appear in the final exam, including evaluate, which carries the most marks. Chapter 4 compares what the WA demands versus what the final exam demands. Then we look at the 5 most common mistakes and how to fix them. The whole video is about 13 to 15 minutes. Have paper ready, you will be writing during the practice pause. Chapter 1. Command words, what they are. A command word is the instruction inside a question that tells you what kind of answer to give. When you see the word describe, that is a different instruction from explain, which is a different instruction from evaluate. Each command word has a precise meaning, and if you respond to the wrong one, you lose marks even when you know the content. Finding the command word is the first thing you do before you write a single word of your answer. Read the question, underline the command word, then decide what kind of answer to write. There are 9 command words in the Sec 1 Geography syllabus, and they form a ladder from simple to complex. At the bottom, define, state, and name. These require you to give precise terms or specific facts, no explanation needed. In the middle, describe, explain, compare, and suggest. These involve more than recall. You need to say what something is like or why it happens, or how 2 things differ. At the top, evaluate, assess, and to what extent. These appear in the final exam and all require a final judgment, a clear verdict on how effective or how significant something is. Without the judgment, you cannot score the highest marks. So how do you apply this? 4 steps. Step 1, read the full question. Step 2, underline the command word. Step 3, check the mark allocation. 1 to 2 marks means a short, precise answer. 3 to 4 marks means an explanation with evidence. 6 to 8 marks means a full structure including a final judgment. Step 4, then write. Look at the example on screen. Explain why the loss of mangroves would increase the risk of flooding for coastal communities. 4 marks. The command word is explain. That means you need a causal chain. Why the loss leads to flooding, not just a description of what happens. 4 marks means 4 points in your chain. Before we move on, pause the video and try underlining the command word in that question yourself. Chapter 2. The 6 WA command words. These are the words that appear in your written assessment. All 6 will come up somewhere during the year. You need to know all 6 cold, not as a vague memory, but precisely enough to switch your answer structure the moment you see the word. Command word 1, define. This requires the precise geographical meaning of a term in 1 to 2 sentences, not a general description, not an example, the definition itself. Look at the weak answer on screen. Brackish water is a type of water found near the sea. That earns 0 because it is too vague. The strong answer tells you what it is chemically, a mixture of fresh water and salt water, and where it is found, in estuaries. Those are the geographical specifics the examiner needs. Command word 2, state or name. This requires a specific fact or term, no explanation needed. The most common mistake here is adding unnecessary explanation and wasting time. If the question says, name 2 threats, you write 2 words or short phrases. Aquaculture, coastal development, nothing more. Command word 3, describe. This is where many students lose marks because they answer why when the question asked what. Describe means you say what something is like, what pattern it shows, or what characteristics it has. It does not require reasons. Look at the weak answer. Rainfall is high in June because of the monsoon. The word because flags a reason, that is, an explain answer. But the question said, describe. The strong answer says, rainfall is highest in June at 280 millimeters and lowest in February at 20 millimeters. Overall, there is a clear wet season from May to September. No reasons, just the pattern with specific values. Your model stem for describe, the feature shows a pattern of, the feature is highest at and lowest at. Let me show you a describe answer applied to a full question. Describe the rainfall pattern shown in the climate graph. 2 marks. The graph shows a location in Southeast Asia with consistently high temperature and rainfall. The strong answer reads, rainfall is generally high throughout the year, exceeding 2,000 millimeters annually. There is a peak in November at 320 millimeters and a relative dry period in February at 60 millimeters, though there is no true dry season as even the lowest month is still significant. Notice what this answer does. It uses specific values from the graph. It identifies the overall pattern. It makes a concluding observation. No true dry season. And it does all of this without any reasons. The examiner does not want the monsoon explanation here. 2 marks, 2 ideas, both from the data. Command word 4, explain. Explain means give reasons. Say why something happens. And the key structure is the causal chain. One thing leads to another, which leads to another. Look at the weak answer. Deforestation removes trees. That is a fact. It earns 0 out of 3 marks for an explain question because it doesn't say why that matters or what it leads to. The strong answer, deforestation removes trees, which reduces the amount of water returned to the atmosphere through transpiration. This decreases local rainfall over time and increases surface runoff, so flood risk rises after heavy rain. Point, cause, consequence. That is what earned 3 marks. Your connectors are because, therefore, this means as a result, which leads to, which means that. Use at least one of these in every explain answer. The causal chain sits inside a larger framework, PEE. P stands for point, your main geographical claim. E stands for evidence, a supporting fact, statistic, or named example. The second E stands for explanation, the development. What does the evidence mean? What are the consequences? Here is PEE applied to the mangroves topic. Point. Mangroves are important for fisheries because they provide nursery habitat for juvenile fish. Evidence. Mangrove prop roots create a dense shelter where young fish hide and feed. 75 to 80% of tropical fish species use mangrove habitats. Explanation. Without mangroves, juvenile fish survival declines, which directly reduces the adult fish populations that coastal communities depend on for food and income. 3 sentences, 3 parts. Every extended explain answer should follow this structure. Let me show PEE in a full 4-mark answer. Explain why the loss of mangroves would increase flood risk for coastal communities. 4 marks. The answer starts with a point. Mangroves act as a natural barrier that absorbs wave energy. That's 1 mark. Evidence. The dense network of prop roots reduces wave height by 50 to 70% per 100-meter belt. 2nd mark. Explanation. Without this buffer, storm surges reach coastal communities at full energy, causing greater flooding and damage. 3rd mark. Then a named example in the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, a village with mangroves in Cuddalore, India, suffered 2 deaths while a village without mangroves 500 meters away suffered 6,000. That is the 4th mark. Point, evidence, explanation, named example. 4 marks. Command word 5, compare. Compare requires you to identify both similarities and differences between 2 things. And the critical rule is that both things must appear in the same sentence. The most common mistake, students describe thing A, then describe thing B in a separate paragraph. That earns 0 marks for compare even if both descriptions are accurate. The examiner cannot award a comparison mark if the 2 things are never placed in the same sentence. The correct structure uses linking words, both A and B. However, A is, whereas B is. Here is an example. Wrong. Aquaculture is a threat to mangroves. Coastal development is also a threat. 2 separate statements, no comparison. Right, both aquaculture and coastal development are human causes of mangrove loss. However, aquaculture damage is semi-permanent, whereas coastal development through land reclamation is permanent because the intertidal zone is physically eliminated. Both things, same sentence, comparison word between them. Command word 6, suggest. Suggest is used when the question asks you to give a possible reason for something you can see in a source, a photograph, a map, or a graph. Because you are reading evidence rather than recalling facts, you must use hedge language. You do not know for certain. You are making an inference. The hedge language is, suggests that, may be due to, could be because, appears to. Wrong answer. The settlement is on a hillside because it avoids flooding. You cannot state that as a fact from a photograph. Right answer. The location of the settlement on a hillside suggests it may have developed here to avoid flooding, as the elevated position would keep buildings above the waterline during wet seasons. The shift from because to suggests it may have developed is the difference between 0 marks and full marks on a suggest question. Chapter 3. Final exam command words. 3 command words appear in the final exam that do not appear in your WA: evaluate, assess, and to what extent. All 3 share one thing that none of the WA words require: a final judgment. The final judgment is a clear statement of your verdict on how effective, how significant, or how far you agree. It does not just summarize what you said. It states a position, supported by your best reason, and acknowledges a limitation. Without a judgment, your answer is not complete. Markers will cap an incomplete evaluate answer at 4 out of 6 marks, regardless of how well you explained the content. The evaluate question is the highest mark question in the final exam. Here is the structure. Step 1. Explain how the strategy works, not just name it. What is it and how does it operate? Step 2. Name a specific example with at least one piece of specific detail, a location, a statistic, or a concrete outcome. A named example without detail earns no marks for the case study step. Step 3. Evidence of effectiveness. What did the strategy actually achieve? Step 4. At least one limitation developed. Not just it has weaknesses, but why the limitation matters. Step 5. The final judgment. Overall, this strategy is highly, or moderately, or not very, effective because followed by the reason and one acknowledgement of what it cannot address. This is the only step where the highest marks live. Let me show you what a judgment sentence looks like in practice. For mangroves, overall, community-based management is highly effective within participating farms because it aligns conservation with economic incentives, but it cannot restore historical losses or address global sea level rise. For Singapore replanting, overall, Singapore's replanting program is meaningful but insufficient as a standalone strategy because it is limited in scale and cannot work on reclaimed land. For Singapore water, overall, the 4 national tap strategy is highly effective in reducing immediate supply risk through diversification. However, long-term sustainability depends on decarbonizing any water and desalination production. Notice the structure in every one, how effective, one reason why, one thing it cannot address. That is the judgment sentence. 3 parts, 1 sentence, the highest marks. Pause the video now. Write a 6-mark evaluate answer to this question. Using a named example, evaluate how effective one management strategy has been in conserving mangroves. Use the 5-step structure. Strategy plus how it works. Named example with specific detail. Evidence, limitation. Final judgment starting with, overall, aim for 10 to 12 sentences. Give yourself 10 minutes. No notes. When you are ready, unpause for the model answer walkthrough. Welcome back. Here is the model answer. Step 1. Community-based management gives local communities shared responsibility for mangroves alongside sustainable use. That is the strategy named and explained. 1 mark. Step 2. Vietnam's integrated model in Cà Mau province requires 60% mangrove cover as a farming license condition. Organic shrimp earns a price premium in Japan and EU markets. Named example with specific detail. 1 mark. Step 3. Mangrove cover has stabilized or increased within participating farms. Farmer incomes rose from certified organic shrimp. Evidence of effectiveness. 1 mark. Step 4, however, success depends on sustained premium export market access. If prices fall, the incentive to maintain cover weakens. Limitation developed. 1 mark. Step 5. Also, NParks in Singapore replants propagules at Sungai Buloh, achieving 60 to 80% survival, but cannot work on reclaimed land where the tidal zone is gone. A second strategy and limitation. 1 mark. Step 6. The judgment. Overall, community-based management is most effective where the root cause is economic pressure, but no strategy alone addresses sea level rise, which requires global action. Final judgment with position, reason, and qualification. 1 mark. 6 steps, 6 marks. 2 more command words work the same way as evaluate. Assess asks you to judge the importance or significance of something. Assess the importance of mangroves for coastal communities. You give evidence for why coastal protection matters, weigh it against the other values, and reach a judgment. On balance, coastal protection is the most significant because, to what extent asks how far you agree with a statement. To what extent do you agree that protecting mangroves is the responsibility of local governments rather than international bodies? You state your position, give evidence for it, then acknowledge the counter-argument and close with, to a large, or partial, or small extent, the statement is correct because, evaluate, assess, to what extent. 3 different framings, the same structure underneath, and all 3 require the judgment sentence. Chapter 4. WA versus final exam. Most students revise the same way for both. That is a mistake, because the 2 assessments test different things and the highest marks come from different skills. Knowing the difference means you can prepare more efficiently. Not just studying harder, but studying for the right things at the right time. Here are the key differences. The WA uses define, state, describe, explain, compare, and suggest. The final exam adds evaluate, assess, and to what extent. The WA does not require a final judgment. The final exam does, for every higher order question. Map skills are rarely tested in the WA. In the final exam, map reading almost always appears, grid references, direction, and describing relief using contour lines. The WA typically gives you a graph, table, or photograph as a source. The final exam gives you a topographic map extract plus a data source. The highest mark question in the WA is typically 3 to 4 marks. In the final exam, it is 6 to 8 marks. Named examples strengthen WA answers. But in the final exam, named examples with specific statistics are expected and required for full marks. So what does this mean for how you revise? For the WA, learn your key terms cold, so define questions are fast, easy marks. Practice every explain question with PEEE, point, evidence, explanation. For compare questions, always write both things in the same sentence. Read every graph before you write. The data in the question is worth marks, not your memory. For the final exam, do all of that, and then add 3 more things. Practice map reading, 4-figure grid references, direction between points, and describing relief using closely spaced versus widely spaced contour lines. Videos 2 and 3 cover this. Practice evaluate questions with a full judgment sentence every time. And when you use a named example, make sure it includes a specific statistic or outcome, not just a country name. Use past papers for the final exam. The structure of the paper follows a predictable format once you have practiced it. Let me give you the 5 mistakes that cost marks most often. Mistake 1. Describing when asked to explain. Deforestation removes trees is a description. An explain answer needs because, therefore, or which means, and a consequence. Without the causal chain, a 3-mark explain earns 0. Mistake 2. Evaluating without a final judgment. Replanting has strengths and weaknesses. Overall, it is quite effective. That is not a judgment, it is a summary. The judgment needs a position, a reason for it, and a qualification. Without all 3, you are capped at 4 out of 6. Mistake 3. Comparing without linking. Writing about aquaculture in one paragraph and coastal development in another is not a compare answer. Both things must appear in the same sentence with a word like however or whereas between them. Mistake 4. Using a named example with no specific detail. Vietnam uses community-based management. That earns 0 for the named example step. You need Vietnam, Kamal province, 60% mangrove cover, farming license condition, price premium for organic shrimp in Japan and EU markets. The location plus the mechanism plus a statistic or outcome. Mistake 5. Matching the wrong response type to the marks available. Writing 3 paragraphs of evaluation for a 2-mark describe question wastes time and earns the same 2 marks you would get for 2 clear sentences. The command word tells you the structure. The mark allocation tells you the length. Identify both before you write. Let me show you the difference between weak and strong in a 4-mark explain. Question. Explain why mangroves are important for fisheries. 4 marks. The weak answer says, fish like to live in mangroves. The roots provide shelter. Without mangroves, there would be fewer fish. Many people depend on fish for food. That earns about 1 mark for the vague observation about shelter, but it has no mechanism, no statistic, and no developed consequence. The strong answer, mangrove prop roots create a dense, sheltered environment where juvenile fish can hide from predators and feed on organic detritus from decomposing leaves. It is estimated that 75 to 80% of tropical fish species spend part of their life cycle in mangrove habitats. Without mangroves, juvenile fish survival declines, directly reducing the adult fish populations that coastal communities depend on for food and income. Mechanism, statistic, consequence, 4 marks. 5 things to take away from this video. 1. Find the command word first, before writing anything. It tells you what kind of answer to give. 2. Describe means what, not why. Explain means why, with a causal chain. These are different answers to the same piece of knowledge. 3. PEE structure. Point, evidence, explanation, works for every explain and extended answer. 4. Compare means both things in the same sentence. Both, however, whereas, not A, then B in separate paragraphs. 5. Evaluate always needs a final judgment sentence. Overall, this strategy is effective limited because, however, it cannot address. Without the judgment, you cannot score the highest marks. 5 things to do right now. First, the exit ticket. 5 minutes, no notes. 5 questions about command words. If you can answer from memory, you are ready. Second, worksheet A, 12 exam questions where you underline the command word and say what it requires. Third, worksheet B, 3 weak versus strong answer, pairs that you annotate yourself to identify what earns the marks. Fourth, study the model answer exemplars. There are 6 fully annotated model answers, a 4-mark and a 6-mark answer for water, rainforests, and mangroves. Compare your own answers against them. Fifth, the full final exam simulation. 20 marks, 45 minutes, no notes. Map skills, data interpretation, and extended writing including a 6-mark evaluate question. All 5 resources are in the link in the description below. You now know all 9 command words and what each one requires. You have the PEE structure for every explain answer. You know how to write a complete 6-mark evaluate answer with a final judgment. You know the difference between what the WA and the final exam are looking for. And you know the 5 mistakes that cost marks and exactly how to fix them. You have now watched all 18 videos in this series. You have covered map skills, natural resources, the water cycle, Singapore's water management, tropical rainforests and mangroves, their environment, adaptations, value, threats, management, and how to write about all of it in an exam. You are ready. If this series helped you prepare, please like and subscribe so more students can find it. Good luck.